Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. Welcome everyone. I am Chatty. This is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter. I'm going to be chatting away madly about lots of fantastic middle grade that have been published this year, 2023. So, quite a few people, when the Goodreads Choice Awards came out, I always find it a bit of fun. I'm really interested to see what books people are enjoying and excited and hyped for and are popular that I might not have heard of. But so much of the categories this year were just chopped. They were gone. There was no middle grade category. There were other ones as well, but middle grade is one of the things that I really enjoy reading about. I think it's really important to have. It's how we nurture younger readers, get them really invested in reading, and there's so many wonderful things happening in these books. It just made me really sad to see it wasn't there. So I decided to try and work out my own version of this. I'll talk a little bit more about it kind of at the end if you're interested in kind of how I came up with the books I have in this list. But for all intents and purposes, this is the long list for the 2023 Readers' Choice Award. It would be wonderful if you listened to all of the different options on here. All the links are in the description box if you want to find out more about them, read other people's reviews, find out a better synopsis than the one I'm going to give, and then put your top 5 in the comments. That would be fantastic. I will add all of those things into the vote to make the short list. So there are 20 books that I'm going to be talking about, all published in 2023, and we do mainly have kind of contemporary fantasy as kind of the preferred genres, but we do have a little bit of representation for horror, for thriller, for mystery. There's even a few books that have like a sci-fi dystopia element. So hopefully there's something for everyone, and I am going to be referring to my notes. For some reason, I thought it would be a really good idea to squeeze them all onto tiny post-its. So I may be squinting down quite a lot, so I apologise for that. But that's what I decided to work with for some reason. So we're just going to crack on and go for it. So the first book that is on the list, the first book on the long list, is Saving Neverland, which is a fantasy book by Abby Elphinstone. Abby Elphinstone has written the Unmapped Chronicles, first one being Rumblestar. This is a Peter Pan sort of retelling, kind of like the next chapter in the Neverland adventures. So we have our protagonist Martha and her younger brother Scruff. They live in the house that once belonged to the Darling family. And then there is a terrible day where something awful nearly happened. And then they find some gold fairy dust in the house, and Peter Pan returns and he needs their help saving Neverland. They go off to Neverland, and it sounds like there is a lot of adventure, possibly some kind of like exploration around family, and I hear high praise for this book. The second book is called Dear Mothman, and this is a contemporary novel in verse by Robin Gow. This book deals with friendship, coming of age, loss, and love. Noah's best friend and the only other trans boy in school, Lewis, dies in a car accident. And the way that Noah copes with this loss and this kind of increased loneliness from his friend no longer being there is to write to Mothman, who I believe is some kind of fictional character, possibly superhero-esque. And from doing all of this writing, he then starts to kind of do an experiment to see if Mothman exists, and he starts to become convinced that he does. He also starts to develop a friendship with some girls in his class and feels able to open up to them. So this story kind of goes on from there. So we have trans representation, we have friendship, and we have loss being dealt with in this book. We have The Lost Library, which is a mystery fantasy by Rebecca Stead and Wendy Mass. In this book, there is a free little library that's guarded by an orange cat. And our protagonist discovers a book and finds out more about a past event that happens that no one wants to discuss. There is a ghost librarian Obviously a love for books and the people that lend them to us, and kind of finding your own truth is explored in this one. We have another fantasy now. So this is Skanda and the Phantom Rider. This is the second book by A.F. Steadman in the Skanda series. So I'm just going to talk about kind of the first book so you get an idea for the series so that there are no spoilers. So in the first book, Skanda wants to hatch his own unicorn, and unicorns in this world are quite dangerous and scary. And it says that is Skanda destined to be the villain rather than the hero? It has elemental magic, it has lots of secrets and a fantasy universe with some bloodthirsty unicorns. So this book follows on from that. I am not sure of the details, but you feel free to go and find a synopsis of that one if you've already read the first one and want to find out more, or if you don't mind spoilers. So I just needed a tea break. My voice is going. This is very nice ginger tea for this coldy time of year. Hopefully I can fight it off. My family have been coughing and sneezing. Touch wood. Haven't got it yet. Okay, moving on to book number 5 is The Probability of Everything, which is a contemporary dystopia written by Sarah Everett. This book is described as heart-wrenching. Kemi, our protagonist, really loves facts and science. She wants to be a scientist. But an asteroid, sorry, I couldn't read what I've written there. An asteroid is heading for Earth, and it's calculated that they all have 4 days left to live. So this kind of goes on to kind of explore Kemi's family and loss and grief, and sort of what makes her family special, and kind of the idea of a time capsule, and being aware of kind of the moments in life. I feel I've really kind of butchered that one, but please do click on the description box, in the description box, for the link for kind of better synopsises of these books. We then have Camp Sylvania, which is a horror book by Julie Murphy. And Julie Murphy is the author of Dumpling. So this is a creepy summer camp novel that explores diet culture. Our protagonist, Maggie, goes to is really wanted to go to like an arts camp, but ends up being sent to a fat camp, presumably to be encouraged to do weight loss. And although this feels really awful, she does actually make friends there, find some kind of comrades, but things start to get a little creepy. There is a ghost rumoured to be on the camp, and campers start disappearing. We then have The Girl from Earth's End, which is a fantasy by Tara Dairman. We have a protagonist, Henna, who is searching for a plant to save her father. She lives with both of her two dads, and one of them gets really ill, and she really wants to save him and hears of this plant, so she goes off to a botanical boarding school, where she starts to make friends with lots of other people, but obviously her mission is to focus on finding this seed for this plant that will be able to do some healing. And it says it explores hope, grief and love. The 8th book that I have in this long list is called What Happened to Rachel Riley. This is a contemporary book by Claire Swanarski. It's about a new girl in the school called Anna, who wants to know why the popular girl Rachel is now treated like an outcast. It says to prepare for the fallout when you start trying to dig up truth and find answers. And it says it explores it had the hashtag #MeToo movement involved in this. So I'm presuming with that there is some kind of sexual assault or something in here, which is obviously a very heavy topic for middle grade. I would imagine this would be more kind of like high-end middle grade, but being in middle grade, I would imagine this topic is dealt with really kind of sensitively and in the best way. And obviously some of these things really sadly will affect children. So it sounds like this is a very kind of like strong topic in here. I do not know. It's just from the hashtag Me Too. It made me think of that, because that's kind of what that is associated with. But we don't know what happened to Rachel Riley. That is what the book is about. So I'm as clueless as you are. Okay, next on my little scrappy bits of paper, we have another fantasy book, Greenwild, by Parry Thompson. This is about a protagonist called Daisy, who is fleeing to safety and ends up going through a portal into the world of Greenwild. It explores a lot of nature. Daisy is looking for her mum. Her mum has gone missing. And it also says there is a cat with attitude in this one, which I think is a winning words right there. Yes, cat with attitude is definitely a buzzword, I feel. We have quite a few cats in these books here. So then we have Falling Out of Time, which is a thriller by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This is a sequel to Running Out of Time, which was originally published in 1995. So it's been a while since that one. This kind of looks at time travel and a utopia. In Running Out of Time, this was kind of more of like an apocalyptic kind of dystopia with sort of like a virus going round. And then this is kind of like a generational story, and this is like 100 years after the events in Running Out of Time. I then have on my list The Swifts, A Dictionary of Scandals, which is a mystery by Beth Lincoln. So it says that the Sacred Family Dictionary, all the children when they are born are brought before it, and they are given a name and a definition, and they are supposed to grow into the definition of their name. And our protagonist is called Shenanigan Swift, and has siblings with other kind of cheeky troublemaking names. There is a murder that has happened, and she wants to catch the killer. It says it involves lots of twists, lots of fun wordplay, and also being able to define yourself in your terms rather than other people's. We have Nick Blake and the Remarkables, the Manifesto Prophecy, which is book 1 in I'm Not Entirely Sure series. This is the first book in a fantasy series by Angie Thomas. Angie Thomas's first middle grade novel. She's previously written some very popular YA novels, including The Hate You Give. This has got a lot of African American history and folklore inspiration in this one. And it says that Nick wants to become a Manifesto just like her father, but he is then accused of a crime, and it is up to Nick and her friends to try and clear his name. They are also trying to find a magical artifact. So we've got lots of friendship, saving family, and I cannot read what I have written there, but that too. The next book I have on my list is Hamra of the Jungle. Hamra and the Jungle of Memories, which is a fantasy by Hannah Alkaf. Hannah Alkaf wrote The Girl and Ghost. So our protagonist Hamra goes into the jungle because she's feeling really angry and upset about something, to the point there she has forgotten all the rules of the forest that you're supposed to stick to, and so she breaks them. This causes a lot of consequences that she needs to go back into the jungle and try and set everything right. So buzzwords for this one are secret histories, a were-tiger, looking after your family, and finding courage. Next we have a contemporary. This is Simon Sort of Says by Erin Bow. This is a novel about hopefulness and healing. Simon has moved to a new town where he wants to be known as himself rather than the survivor of a school shooting. And it explores kind of like how you heal from trauma, and sort of like a coming of age, finding yourself story. You then have the Witchstone Ghosts, which is a fantasy horror mystery by Emily Randall Jones. Our protagonist, Autumn, can see dead people. However, when her father dies, she doesn't see him. But there's a clause in his will where all of the family get moved to a remote island where Autumn starts trying to discover the secrets. We then have The Grace of Wild Things, which is a fantasy novel by Heather Fawcett. Heather Fawcett has written some middle grade novels, but is probably at the moment most well known for Emily's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So this is a retelling of Anne of Green Gables. Our protagonist is Grace, and the only thing she is good at is magic. And she, after failing to be adopted, she decides to leave the orphanage and go and be an apprentice to the local witch in the forest. She makes a bargain with the witch and soon finds that spell working is a lot harder than she hoped. And there is a monster from the witch's past involved in the story. And I don't have any buzzwords or any kind of like themes or anything for this one. In some of the reviews, there were lots of people who were saying how much they loved the links to Anne of Green Gables, and other people who said that it didn't feel like there were enough links to Anne of Green Gables. So I feel this could be enjoyed whether or not you like Anne of Green Gables. From what I've read. Anyway, that is another fantasy one on the list. And I have done all of those, so I've just got 4 more books to talk about. Have I? I feel like I've missed some. No, I've done all of those. I've done all of those, done all of those. Yep, I've done all of those. No, obviously I'm getting through this quicker than I thought I would. So the final 4 books. We have Whale Done, which is a mystery, and it is in the Fun Jungle series. It is Fun Jungle Mystery number 8 by Stuart Gibbs. And it says that Teddy Fitzroy and Summer, his girlfriend, go to Malibu, but there is a dead whale on the beach that explodes, which means the holiday then turns into an investigation. By the sounds of it, you're kind of meeting some similar characters from before, and it goes down all those mystery twists and turns. We have Impossible Creatures, which is a fantasy book by Catherine Rundle. Our protagonist, Christopher, sees a load of mythical creatures. It's described as an avalanche of mythical creatures that his grandfather is a guardian of, like trying to protect them from the non-magical world. But the veil between the two worlds is getting thinner. We then have Mal, who Christopher kind of meets this girl, and she is being pursued by a killer. It involves a magical item and lots of magical creatures. We then have Jamie, which is a contemporary novel by L.D. Lipinski, who is most well known for the fantasy Strange World Travel Agency books. So this is described as a very uplifting book with non-binary representation. Jamie is non-binary, and they and their friends are looking at going to school, so going to the secondary school, but there are just a girls' secondary school and a boy secondary school, so Jamie does not know where they will be going when they need to go into year 7. So they start to raise awareness of this difficulty, and this turns into a protest. Which explores making your own place in the world and friendship. Then we have The Firefly Summer, which is a contemporary book by Morgan Matson. Rihanna lives with her dad and her stepmom, but then she is invited to spend the summer with her mum's parents. So she's going to go stay with her maternal grandparents who she's never met. She's never heard her dad speak of her mum. She doesn't know why. So she goes to spend the summer at this kind of like camp by a lake and meets all of her mum's family. There are family secrets. There's a feeling of not fitting into a really outgoing family and starting to find the other side to yourself. So there we go. Those are 20 books that were all published this year. I think I knew maybe like 3 or 4 of those titles when I started looking through the list. Have not read a single one on that list. I had a few that I was aware of. I have a few that are in my possession. But all the other ones that I hadn't heard of at all, I'm really now excited to read. So this is one of the reasons why I really love the Good Readers Choice Awards, because it makes you aware of books that you might not have been aware of. Yes, ultimately it is a popularity contest and it is about selling books, but it's also like about promoting books and making you aware of other different things. And I think that's really important, like especially with middle grade books, because they don't get as much like recognition as adult books do. You know, they've just got the one category, middle grade, which is an age range rather than a genre. So all of the genres are kind of fighting it out in this one space. So I do think it's important for us to be able to celebrate the middle grade books that are being published and supporting those authors. So hopefully you have heard something here that piques your interest that you might go and look up. Please do vote. Let me know which books sound interesting for you. You can give me like your top 5, your top 3, the one that you're very excited for, regardless of whether or not you've read them. Because like I said, this is all about a popularity contest. This is about what you hyped for, what sounds intriguing for you. So I will be going through all your comments and kind of counting up the votes. Also, I do have I have a graphic on my community tab, so you can kind of see at a glance all of the book covers, because unfortunately I can't edit, I can't have any nice graphics showing you the book covers on here. All I can do is tell you about them because I can't edit my videos. I do also have a Discord, which if you haven't joined, it is called Middlegrade Mad Chat, and it is all about middle grade books. So I do have a section on there for this where you can go and do like emoji voting by click 5 different emojis for the ones you like. I'm going to be taking all of that into consideration and all of the comments from different places, and then I will be cutting the list in half and we will be having a short list of a top 10 books. And I'm hoping that in 2024 I will then read through this top 10 list, which is very exciting. I don't know what's going to win. I don't know what people are going to choose, but there are so many things on here that sound really, really good that I want to read that I hadn't even heard of before. Different genres that I don't usually read. That's why I really enjoy all of this. So if you are interested in how I came up with this list, I'm going to have more tea. Pardon me. Okay, so if you're interested in how I came up with this list, what I did was I just started researching books published in 2023, middle grade books, best books to read in 2023, Goodreads books published in 2023, and kind of cross-referencing kind of like all the different things that kind of came up there. Majority of the books I did get from the Goodreads published in 2023 list, and basically my criteria was they had to be read or rated like by more than 500 people. So if they were below 500, they didn't make the list. And this was really gutting because there were so many that I had read, not so many, but the ones that I had read and loved this year were like, one of them didn't even place. And all of the other ones were like, they were below 500. So then I checked that all of the ones that were on the you should read these books were mentioned, and I then kind of like had a Goodreads and Storygraph how many people have read them and then what rating they gave them. I then went through sort of through genres, and I took the contemporary and I took the fantasy because those were the most represented. So to try and turn it into 20, I went through the fantasy and I started to score them. So I numbered the ratings 1 to 7. So 1 being this one has got the most amount of people wanting to read this book, 2 being the next highest, to 7 which had the least amount of people reading this book, but all still over 500. Then the ratings, the higher the rating, the lower the number, and then I added them all up, and then whichever book had the highest number, I cut that book off the list. So I cut a fantasy and I cut a contemporary. And then I got people to vote on this 20 because I wanted to cut it down to 15. And once I had it cut down to 15, I invited people on my Discord to tell me what books did they read, so I could get some hidden gems together. So not all of the books get to be read by everyone, and there's some fantastic books out there I don't want to miss out on. So we had the quantity, and then I went for the quality. So the people on my Discord suggested lots of different things, and then we had a vote on the Discord. You had 3 votes. And then obviously the highest ones made it through and the lowest ones didn't. So we then had 5 hidden gems that have been added into this list, which has given us our top 20 long list of books published in 2023. So thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, I really want to know what you think, what you vote, and then I will be doing the shortlist that you can then vote on again, and then I will be revealing the top 3 and what the winning book will be for this year. Happy reading, everyone!